Good afternoon, everyone. This presentation focuses on the conservation treatment of 19 fragments of tattoo human skin from the Luigi Cattaneo Anatomical Works collection at the University of Bologna, which were requested for the exhibition Tattoo Stories of the Mediterranean, held at the MUDEC in Milan in 2024. While tattoos have a rich and extensive history that we cannot fully explore today, we will focus on a few key historical points to contextualize this unique specimen, specifically the evolution of tattooing in the Western world, religious tattoos, and the circumstances that led to the practice of collecting tattooed human skin fragments in 19th and 20th century Europe. Interest in tattooing from historical, artistic, archaeological, and anthropological perspective has grown significantly over the past decade. As you can see in these slides, numerous exhibitions have been dedicated to this theme worldwide, like this one in Paris, Chicago, Lisbon, Turin, and Venice. And most recently, Milan, where MUDEC hosted an exhibition featuring the pieces we will discuss today. Tattooing is an ancient technique of pictorial body decoration that has developed over time, acquiring artistic, social, and cultural significance through its association with therapeutic power and as a symbol of social status and group identity. The creation of these historical tattoos involved two main techniques: incision with the sharp tools or perforation with a small needle, followed by the insertion of various pigments into the resulting cuts or punctures. Here you can see we can see some example of the diverse tattooing tools used across different cultures and times. Charcoal-based material like soot, coal, and lamp black were the most frequently used alongside other substances such as fungi, natural extract for plants and animals, and inorganic material, including iron and manganese oxides, as well as pigments like cinnabar and or piment. Some of this material continued to be used until the 19th century, often mixed with other readily available substances. Ancient archaeological discoveries have revealed tattooed human remains, with some of the most significant examples being the Egyptian mummies, known as the Goblin Woman and Ginger, the Similao Man, known as the Otzi, and the Ukok Princess. Beyond their artistic and aesthetic value, tattoos had a ritual, spiritual, magical, therapeutic, and social status, meaning in the ancient world. In the century that followed, tattooing continued to be practiced, and it was only with the rise of the Roman Empire that tattoos began to be viewed as a mark of barbarians, as they were associated with the conquered pagan peoples. Following the spread of Christianity in Europe, tattooing faced increasing opposition from religious authorities, who viewed the practice as incompatible with Christian doctrine, leading to official bans on tattoo throughout this period. Despite this official prohibition, tattooing persists, often practiced secretly within religious context. Throughout the Middle Age, Christian pilgrims marked their body with a permanent symbol, typically Greek crosses or Jerusalem crosses, to commemorate their journeys to the Holy Lands. Similarly, Loreto tattoos, known since the 16th century, typically featured the image of the Madonna alongside the Holy House, By the century, specialized tattoo artists, known as markers, practice their craft passed down through only 4 or 5 local families across generations. The traditional method involved using wood cliché to impress the guide design onto pilgrim skin before executing the actual tattoo with a 3-pointed pen, inserting blue ink into the holes. The most significant revival of tattooing in the Western world occurred in 18th century Europe, inspired by Captain James Cook's exploration and mapping of Oceania. The term tattoo derives from the Polynesian word tatao, meaning to mark and referring to the rhythmic tapping sound of tattooing instruments. James Cook introduced the English term tatao in his journal after observing the practice in Tahiti. In 19th century, tattooing became particularly popular among sailors as mementos of their eastern voyage, spreading widely throughout port, city, and international naval fleets. It continued to be associated with the lower social classes, including prisoners and circus performers. With 19th century positivism, absolute faith in science and technological progress, tattooing became definitively associated with deviant and criminal elements. Cesare Lombroso, father of criminal anthropology and supporter of anthropological positivism, wrote about tattooing in this work, The Criminal Man. This association between criminality and tattooing spread throughout late 19th century Europe, profoundly shaping Western attitude toward the practice. As part of this research, Lombroso designed some drawings reproducing the tattoo he saw on the prisoner he met through his activities as a physician in Turin jails, connected specific tattoo design to particular type of crime. Lombroso theories led to the systematic collection and study of tattoo human skin as scientific evidence, establishing a practice that would continue well into the 20th century. The Lombroso Museum in Turin preserves 36 skin specimens mounted on panels. Other significant collections of tattoo skin fragments include the Wellcome collection in London and other similar collection. You can see the collection in Krakow, Bucharest, Lyon, and other cities. Also part of this collection of tattoo skin fragments is the Luigi Cattaneo Anatomical Works collection at the University of Bologna, which owns 2 wooden panels containing 19 tattoo skin specimens. Information on how these tattoos were collected is limited, but from the literature we know there were 2 main preservation methods. Tattooed skin was typically cut from the corpse using a scalpel during routine autopsies. Research identified 2 primary preservation methods for skin specimens, dry and wet. The dry method, common in other specimens, involved scraping connective tissue from the skin back, then stretching and pinning it flat to dry, sometimes with chemical treatment. As it dried, the skin would shrink and develop characteristic edge rims. The wet method used similar extraction, but stored specimen in alcohol, glycerin, or formalin solution. Now I will hand it over to my colleague Claudia De Rose, who will discuss the conservation treatment of these specimens.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. For the MUDEC exhibition, the 2 wooden panels bearing 19 specimens of tattooed human skin from the collection in Bologna were displayed. Prior to the exhibition, these skins underwent a conservation treatment aimed at improving their structural stability and legibility, modifying the mounting system to ensure their long-term preservation. As you can see in the chart, the tattoos show both sacred and secular subjects. The panel identified as 67A depicts religious subjects, like the one coming from the laureate tradition described by my colleague, such as Sacred Hearts, Monstresses, and Madonnas with Child, as well as secular subjects, including female nudes and elements from the animal and plant world. While panel 67B features almost exclusively secular subjects, including female figures, inscriptions, flowers, and animals. We have no information about when these objects were created. The only chronological data available can be found inscribed within the specimen themselves. 3 of the tattoos contain data ranging from 1862 to 1881. Both panels have a paper label with the inscription Normal Human Anatomy and other archival information. Prior to the conservation treatment, the skin fragments were mounted on the wooden panels with different types of metal fasteners, like pushpins and small nails. During the examination, we could see that some of the specimens, the skins had been thinned so much during their preservation process that the black color of the underlying panel showed through, making some of the tattoos barely visible. Additionally, hairs were still attached to the skins. The human skin showed various forms of deterioration. They were stiffened, dehydrated, deformed, and improper mounting with the metal fasteners had caused undulations and holes. And the pushpins left yellow halos and green oxidation traces on the skins. Along the edges, there were black stains that were caused by an improper cleaning attempt that transferred the paint from the wooden panel to the skins. The fragments also had powdery deposits, stains, small losses, and tears. And finally, the inadequate storage condition led to the discoloration of the ink used for the tattoos. As for the paper labels, they were also deteriorated. They showed losses, tears, tied lines, and traces of black paint. The wooden panels were chipped with opaque areas resulting from the cleaning attempt that I mentioned. 3 of the skin fragments were studied with non-destructive analytical techniques such as micro-ATR FTIR spectroscopy and macro X-ray fluorescence. For the analysis, the fragments needed to be completely free of any backing material. For this reason, it was realized a floating mounting that was used to secure the fragment within an accordion structure window mat. The analysis provided useful information about the inks. For the black ink, it was used carbon black pigment derived from plant combustion. Red ink shows a composition based on medium and cinnabar. And brown ink shows the presence of iron and manganese, indicating the use of burnt amber. Also, analyses were performed on a portion of the skins without tattoos that showed formation of calcium oxalates, which is a byproduct of microbiological activity. The treatment of tattooed skin fragments represented a unique challenge due to the lack of a specific protocol for their conservation. Given the affinity with the physical characteristics of parchment, it was decided to adopt a conservative approach based on established methodologies for the treatment of membranous materials. One of the main goals was to maintain the original historical mounting while modifying it to make it more suitable for long-term preservation. This modification consisted in the elimination of metallic constraints that were replaced with a system of invisible solvent reactivated hinges. To do so, the skins were dismantled from their panel and treated. In particular, one of the most important operations was rehydration and flattening, which was fundamental to recover the planarity of the skins and then facilitate the remounting on the wooden panels. Conservation cardboard spacers were inserted between the tattooed skin fragments and the wooden panels to avoid direct contact between them. Now getting into the conservation treatment. First of all, the 19 specimens were dismantled with a spatula. Then they were dry cleaned with brushes and a vacuum with HEPA filter and micro attachments. Then it followed a more deep cleaning with the polyurethane sponges, chosen because of their effectiveness in capturing dirt particles without causing any variation in the support finish. Also, its smooth and compact surface avoided abrading the skin and releasing any residues. Next, wet cleaning with a solution of water and ethanol in a 20-80 ratio, which was useful in removing the black paint stains that were along the perimeter of the skins, and which was also functional in reducing the fungal activity detected by the scientific analysis. The green oxidation were treated using PVA borax hydrogel containing citric acid as a chelating agent. The hydrogel offered a controlled and gradual release of moisture and solvent and enabled a gentle and precise treatment. The gel softened the deposits, which were then removed with a spatula. To correct the deformation and creases on the skins and also their stiffness, they were humidified with a Sympatex membrane to then allow a flattening with magnets on a metal table. To prevent surface damage on the skin surface, the magnets were wrapped in a protective layer of blotter and non-woven polyester fabric. Also, carton plume strips were used to evenly distribute the pressure of the magnets across the surface. The strips were modified by creating three recessed housing for the magnets to ensure stronger adhesion between the strips and the skins. Then the skins were flattened on the metal table by inserting the magnets inside the housing. And this is one of the specimens before and after the flattening treatment. The small losses on the skins were filled with Tenguzio and Japanese paper with culminal 4% in ethanol as an adhesive. The holes created by the push pins, being part of the history of the pieces, were only reinforced with tissue paper. Finally, the losses were painted with watercolors to match the surrounding area. The paper labels were also dismounted, then dry cleaned and wet cleaned in a water bath. The black stains were the same present on the skins, were treated in the same way with water and ethanol solution. Then they were lined with Japanese paper and flattened through stretching on a wooden panel. The losses were filled with Japanese paper and then painted with watercolors. As for the wooden panel, they were also dry cleaned and wet cleaned. The losses were filled with an acrylic resin-based filler, which was then painted with acrylic color. And to recover the uneven level of gloss on the surface, we applied a layer of shellac. And this is the panel before and after the treatment. After completing the treatment on the skins, they needed to be remounted on their respective wooden panels. A conservation cardboard template was cut for each skin for the two paper labels. The templates were then glued on the panels to recreate the original arrangement of the skins. The skin fragments were remounted on their respective templates with Japanese paper hinges pre-glued with Plexol B500 and Clusel G and reactivated with butyl acetate. On the upper and lower sides of the fragment was applied a single large strip, while laterally were used multiple small strips that allowed settling movement to settling movement due to the thermohygrometric variation. The advantage of this mounting technique is to avoid introducing moisture to the skins and prevent potential deformation of the support. Here are the overall photos after the treatment. As you can see, the presence of the cardboard solved the problem caused by the excessive thinning of the skin by eliminating the transparency effect that showed the black color of the panel, thus restoring a more complete view of the tattoos. In planning this restoration, we took into account the ethical and cultural issues surrounding the exhibition of this type of objects. We needed to maintain the original mounting, but we also wanted to restore dignity to these skin fragments, which we must remember are perhaps all that remains of people who were once alive. We can well imagine that these tattoos were removed from their bodies without consent to be displayed in a dehumanizing manner. With this restoration, the meticulous cleaning of the skin and the removal of the inappropriate metallic restraints, we hope to have given back some of the dignity that these people would deserve and who have given us an important artistic, cultural, and historical legacy. Thank you for your attention.